Hi, I'm Zoopy Cooper, and I'm an artist. By no means am I like a professional artist. I'm very much self taught, but still an artist of some sort. And I wanted to talk about that and provide some criticism of myself in a short little video for fun, but maybe it would be helpful to other artists to show my attitude towards my own art and see if it works for them. IDK. On February 17th, 2025, I uploaded this piece of art. It's Super Mario from the Mario and Luigi RPG series, dunking on the evil clone of Family Guy's Peter Griffin, Retep, in a game of Tecmo NBA basketball on the NES. The idea behind this piece was to replicate the art styles of all series present in the image. Mario has the shading and the different line width with some tapering, like you would see in the promotional art for Mario and Luigi, while Retep has no shading and consistent thin lines, just like you would see in Family Guy. And of course, Tecmo NBA Basketball is a pixel art basketball court with a limited color palette, like an NES game. While I think the overall piece is pretty good and eye catching, I think under scrutiny it kinda falls apart. The background itself is actually my favorite part and is pretty good. I actually 3D modeled it in Blender and drew over it with the pixel art. The only thing I would really change is one guy's hair. It's a bit short and I think it looks a bit weird, but that's a small nitpick compared to everything else. However, the rest of this image I'm not so proud of. Certainly not bad, but with my goal here to have a different art style for each character, I think I didn't quite get these the way I wanted. Mario's lines do taper and are a different thickness, but they should become thicker in certain areas where they just don't. The thickness of the lines also look like they're supposed to communicate depth rather than being a different style, which I think takes away the effect that I was going for. He's also got this weird arm. It looks a bit short and a bit too long. Doesn't really look right. And Mario's shading and the way I drew him just feels too derivative to me. I feel like you can tell I only used one reference when drawing him. I didn't study the art style enough to understand the nuances of the shading. Retep is a lot better, but that's because he's relatively simpler. Family Guy's art style isn't the hardest thing to get right, but there's some things that look wrong. The hand looks a little bit fucked up, and I was a little lazy on the tears. They could have been more accurate. They're somewhat transparent and less consistent, but overall, I think he looks okay, aside from some wobbly lines. Now, the basketball here, I'm really proud of. It's a different scale from the rest of the background, having a different pixel size, but that's a bit intentional to add some depth to the image. But I definitely could have done that for the hoops to better get the idea across, I feel. I also made the basketball blue and white as opposed to how it is in the game, which is black and yellowish like a basketball. This is to stand out from the fire, which is already orange and yellow, in the background, as the floor uses the same color palette as the basketball. I also wanted it to give this sort of like fiery, like powered up effect, if you get what I mean. Some extra stuff I added was a little vignette to add some emphasis and make it more like there was some lighting from the basketball court. I tried adding highlights onto the hoop from like lights, but it didn't look great, and I couldn't figure out a way to make it look right without sacrificing the style. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this piece, but I think it needed more attention in some areas. Most of its flaws come from poor planning and attention. I think if I had avoided those issues, this piece would be much better. Now, for some closing thoughts, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself and over criticize yourself. Art is whatever you make it to be. You don't have to take it seriously. You don't have to improve if you don't want to. If you do it for fun and you just like drawing stickmen or whatever, no one's gonna stop you. But it's useful to criticize and recognize your faults to properly improve if you want to improve. I know that's not the most insane thing to say. It's just art's full of nuances, challenges, and surprises. My best advice for improving is just keep going, keep practicing. That's all. Uh, Bye.
Uh, hey everybody, it's Bill from Left 4 Dead 2 here, telling you all that animation takes a long time. I'll be back. Make sure to follow at Fearful and Hungry on Twitter.com for Pomni Feet and more Bill Left 4 Dead 2 updates. Thank you.